Let's see if that experience is going to be enough for them to start this series off strong. It is officially time, our first Rocket League match here on stream for CECC 2025. Again, expectations are Shawnee to take this one, but GCU, I'm happy to see a surprise.
And keep in mind as well, we're used to, okay, this is group stage, it's going to start off with the best of 5. No, we're best of 7s all throughout this, so you have a lot of space to be able to explore how the game state is going to evolve, and that's the biggest thing, I think, for GCU. But also for Shawnee, they took a game off of some crazy opponents. We've seen St. Clair even in their group drop a game as one of the favorites of the tournament when we speak to some players. So it really does come down to being able to take your shots, but also being able to stay consistent. And maybe it'll start with a wide open shot off the backboard, a pass down into Bean Boy. That's the chemistry I'm looking for.
And this is why we talk about it. GCU, a team that is not only more than capable, but when the pressure is on, they pull off something like this. Brilliant pass down from Froppy. Bean Boy, right place, right time. They still have a lot of work left to be done. Perfect shot into the back of the net. A heck of a way for GCU to start this one off, not even 40 seconds in.
Huge fan of that, and it's plays like that that are the unexpected. The defense is going to have that save. They might not have the immediate angle on the first shot, but they will be able to get to it. But wait, if you tap it down right on top of that box, everyone crashes towards the goal. Even a team as experienced as Shawnee is going to make that mistake. So GCU gets that first goal, maybe even a second if they have their way near post shot. It's going to be off that side. And Slayer with the iconic Octane ZSR, the only player I've literally ever seen in my casting career use that car as his main.
And he has, I don't think ever switched off of it. I feel like every single series we look at it, it's like, all right, maybe he'll play like one game on the Fennec or like one on the Octic. Nope, just ZSR the entire way through. It's been a staple of his play, but in addition to a staple of his play, watch him as he glides through here. A very physical player at that as well. A lot of bumps, a lot of demos. Really likes to clear space for his other two teammates, and it makes sense when your other two teammates are Duckworth and Taco Stash, two very high-level players and very specifically mechanical players. That's one of the biggest things that I think you take away from the Shawnee teams, that when they get the chance, they're pulling off plays like that. That one will be blocked out of net, but I like to see the last-second passing plays that are doing a little bit of trickery in front of the defense.
Yeah, but elite-level passing coming in from Shawnee, and that's one thing that they will certainly never let go of, is being able to put the ball in weird situations, and it'll make you double guess yourself, being able to not 100% get on these reads, especially when it's just going to bounce on in. Playing the read, not the ball. Slayer, he'll take that all day.
I don't know if I'm going to really credit Slayer with the goal here. I think it's a lot of heavy lifting from that whiff and that whiff, and I'm not going to call them whiffs. I'm going to call them tactical fakes, and I'd like to do that in honor of Bean Boy, who's sitting there on the line probably going, no, this is when they touch it. No, this is when they touch it. And when nobody does, he's left flat-tired without many options. The only option at this point is to score again. 3 minutes to go here in a 1-1 ball game. Otherwise, we're going into overtime for our first game of the day.
And it could be happening at any moment, especially since these 50s are not the most controlled, I will say, from the Shawnee State side. We've seen SSU take the ball in the corner, try to play something patient, and then it deflects into the middle. All it takes is just one player lurking around for the Antelopes, and maybe they can get on top of this one. Nice double tap, but it's going to be well too far away, so therefore the back pass is an attempt, but another 50 not going to go Shawnee's way. Back into GC possession, and with some boost, albeit not with a lot of momentum.
Trying to just buy time for his teammates here, get a little bit boosted up, get a little bit more prepared for defense. Unfortunately, a place that they're starting to lurk more and more often here. Again, Shawnee might have started off with the first goal against them, but since then, it's been all offense for our blue side. A bit too much offense, though. Slayer lurking a bit far forward. Will at least get this one to the backboard, but opens up some space now for GCU to work with. Pop up high, Bean Boy. Uh-oh, gotta be careful. Almost the own goal. Duckworth can't finish off the shot, but a little bit shaky for GCU as they get overeager in offense.
One of those moments where when you're shooting, you can be like, I'm going to try to put this top shelf, and maybe it doesn't quite do that. And for this one, it's like, I'm going to put it well over the goal, and then you almost own goal. So playing on a razor's edge on some of that, but other times you're able to survive and then potentially thrive. Flip reset not taken, and the follow-up shot is also going to go by its wayside. Going back onto defense, trying to defend against the infield pass. Taco Stash, I think, expecting that one on the pre-jump to be a bit more onto his bumper. Can't always have that in the way that you want, but either way, it looks like SSU and GCU, I like the pace they're both bringing out. There's no timidness in these attacks. They're just going straight for the jugular.
They kind of have to at this point. Both teams have tried passing plays in the final third without much success. It's going to take something spectacular to get past either one of the defenses. I do think fakes are not a bad idea. Good from Nando to fake the first and give some time now for his teammates to rotate in. Froppy a good 50. Bean Boy, I think he's just going to take this through the corner. Good pass out center. Is anybody prepared for it? Apparently Taco Stash. Not only does he get the pass out, but he also gets it straight to Duckworth, who can work to get some midfield presence. Not enough of it, though, and Taco Stash forced into another save. Duckworth, full tank of boost. What can he do with it? Off the ceiling, the reset in hand, but still not quite enough as Bean Boy will take it out to the corner. Both teams definitely gearing up for that final attack, but neither one of them finding that lethal punch that can finish this game.
And it's going to be tight on that catch, especially because you are off the field. How about a second one? A lot of demolitions. It's wide open for Bean Boy. That's just carnage. This game, it's supposed to be rated E.
Yeah, it's supposed to be rated E, but not when Bean Boy's on the pitch. At this point, he's more than happy to just take this one, clean it up. Nando going to do the same thing, a couple of demos here or there. So, hey, there's a phrase we like to say in Rocket League, and it's for a reason. Can't beat him. Delete him. Take him off the backboard, remove him from defense. You might just take game number 1. 50 seconds to go. GCU with a lead that they would much love to keep, especially considering, again, still Shawnee the favorites. Game 1's huge for them.
And being able to get that lead and then be able to hold it is two different things. So being able to play effective defense while not completely giving up your pressure is an art for some teams, and that is kind of sloppy on the paintbrush, Holden. That one nearly got away from them, but GCU is still able to maintain some semblance of possession, especially with that fake challenge from Bean Boy. Nice tap again into the corner. Shawnee, they're going to have to start throwing Hail Marys.
They're trying their best right now with a long ball downfield and Taco Stash to receive. He's got a little bit of boost in the tank, but not enough to read that off the sidewall, and Duckworth not enough confidence to make the challenge. Away behind his two teammates and eventually go, which gives now space for Taco Stash to try a pass out to Slayer. Intercepted by Froppy, and Taco Stash going to get challenged in midfield, making this aerial even more awkward. GCU have done enough. Not enough time on the clock and not enough shots. SSU, a lot of offense, not a lot to show for it.
And being able to then take that on the chin from SSU and say, okay, that's fine. Everybody gets one. In fact, that's kind of been the pattern for a lot of these games. It's one win for one team and then the eventual victor getting the other 4. I don't know if that's in a gentleman's sweeper variety, but they're going to have to hope it is. Duckworth, last second save. Nobody up immediately, but Froppy, nothing in the tank to be able to immediately follow. Pressure's still on, but I think it's lacking a little bit more venom unless there's nobody up on the backboard. The drop down into the 50. Third man challenger from the ceiling. On target and in.
That is absurd. There's so many parts of this play that you can compliment, but you have to just admit this challenge should never have happened, but the fact that it did is incredible. Again, midfield presence right now for GCU is what is separating them. They are timing their challenges well. They are making the challenges when they need to, and the aggression they are showing is not just full aggression. We often have the complaint, they're just being aggressive, and that exposes their defense. It's not happening right now. The only time they might get exposed is off of a demo, but even then, the defense is back.
And I love the patience as well. B-Boy slapped that down line. Instead, he catches it, aim with no boost, takes the 50. It doesn't go forward, but it makes so Shawnee can't just rebound it right back into the offense. Right now, it seems like Shawnee is definitely trying to create that offense. Remember, that first goal and their only goal so far in this series really just came off of throwing the ball in a weird situation, trying to follow up. GCU was a little bit late in late challenges and led to some misses. But other than that, Shawnee's trying to give them a taste of their own medicine with these slow 50s. But again, GCU just so well prepped, and they seem fine to just keep abusing that backwards zone because Shawnee's not quick to it.
They're doing a great job of faking out challenges when they need to. Again, with the studying of this other team, they probably know that Shawnee is very much a team with two mechanical players who are going to press you at all moments, just continue to dive into offense as much as they can. And the other side of the coin, where if they're going to do that, take them out. Stutter step here, a crossover there. It's more than enough to slow down a team like Shawnee, make them second guess themselves, and then have to now reapproach their offense, which they are starting to get more and more often here as we continue through game 2. They are playing for one down, but a double touch here would go a long way. 15 from the net. Is there a follow? Not quite. I think the GCU are going to get away with this one.
I like that from Nando. Nice little handoff to B-Boy, but also watch how he steals the boost, even if he's not on the ball, just so he can make sure that Shawnee does not spin through, steal that boost away. The Cuxerman all the way in the back one. That's going to bounce, and there is someone lurking. Not the most powerful shot, but here's the rebound. B-Boy, nice catch at the ceiling, gets away from his Taco Stash. Going to call that bluff every day of the week.
Normally, we would tell teams to focus on the offense here at this point. Watch the initial player that's approaching each time. I want everybody to watch the midfield right now for GCU. Watch how their first player will attack with someone like B-Boy is just going to lurk until the perfect moment. So as soon as the transition does come, they're already back in prepared to immediately launch into another offense. A great example there is GCU do get pressured, but don't buckle underneath it. Now, maybe even have a shot of their own. Nando to Bean Boy, and right to the back of the net.
I'm thinking, Nando, are you going to be a little bit selfish? Go for the skim? You want to get a clip on social media? How about you just play the captain's role? Distributor, right to Bean Boy. He makes sure it's on target. You can see him lean back a little bit just to make sure he doesn't clap that one over the bar or go a little bit too wide. Make sure it's on target because he saw the goalie's flailing. They were not prepared for that read, and I don't think Shawnee State was prepared for just how clean this GCU roster is looking.
To be fair, we talked to Shawnee yesterday, and they said, hey, we had a match against these guys like not even a couple weeks ago, and we played against them, and they got to 5. They went, yeah, we're not letting it get to 5 again. Then we talked to GCU, and they went, no, reversing this one. We're not letting it get to 5 because we're going to dominate them. We were having connection issues last time that they played. And yeah, we hear that often from players like, oh, I'm lagging a little bit. It's going to make a difference. I actually, first time I've ever heard the lag excuse, and I don't think it's just an excuse. They are currently dismantling Shawnee in a series where it is 4 goals to 1.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that when you look at the shot count, it's not too high, but the thing is there's no backboard defense. Taco Stash, barely anything in the tank, and just enough to be able to get up to this one. Why then they'll be able to refuel and go forward with Duckworth, if not for the immediate challenge. Bounce off the sidewall, a little bit delayed. Top corner finish from Slayer. You can't place it much better than that.
And I think the placement had to be as perfect as it was on that one. They had the defender in net, but low on boost. So you just got to pop it right over him where it's just awkward enough. Can't make the save. Does more than just that. They get the goal back and finally end the drought that had been going on for more than 3 minutes. I actually think it's more than that. They scored their only goal in game 1. They're like halfway through it, so almost 5 minutes removed from their last goal. I can't say that anymore. Still, a lot of work left to be done here for Shawnee, though. You do not want to go down 2-0 in a series that you were expecting to win. That is more than enough momentum for GCU to run with. The goal there would have been a lot of momentum for Shawnee as well.
Heavy deflection in Duckworth. He might be able to get that double if not Fernando. A little bit of ball chasing, but sometimes that is good when no one else can actually get to that read. And now he can turn around in midfield, try to take on Taco Stash. Interesting bounce. Taco should be able to control that one. Uses that flip a little bit early, loses the 50. It's not really going to trouble them. Shawnee just going to keep on pounding that forward. I think they're trying to stretch the field a bit. Not only is seeing that GCU is going to the corners, trying to play a little bit wider. The problem is that does leave gaps, and until Shawnee is able to pick apart that passing play in that midfield, find those tight triangles to find each other in space, I don't really know if that's going to work out for them, but maybe with some whiffs, could be something. There's a crack in the door. They could launch themselves through. That challenge, though, expertly backed up.
Well played from Bean Boy as well. Before Stocko, a bit of an awkward 50. It means nobody can follow this one up. Now Froppy, some space to work with. Sealing it goes. Stocko's dash. Try for a shot, but doesn't have enough boost to really put it on target, and Bean Boy can now take this one away and out towards midfield. A little bit of awkwardness for GCU, though. They still have a player back, but that's all that they have right now. The defense has looked better at other times. With 20 seconds to go, you don't want to make a mistake. Froppy will not, even in the 2v1 off the demo, and will even get the breakaway play. Good cut from Duckworth, but with 15 to go, they need a goal like yesterday. How about this one? Perfectly shot on target, the tie with 12 to go.
And typically it is front and center in a movie, but in Rocket League, sometimes the demos and explosions, they're in the background. You can see Duckworth just going all the way around, trying to take out as many players as possible, opening gaps, because the demo doesn't have to be on the goalie. It just has to be able to disrupt the rotation, throw a little bit of an opening in, and then you take advantage. Shawnee clinical on that one, and it might not even be over because that first aerial is going to get taken away. One more desperate heave upfield, and it will not touch the ceiling. Nando has to read that one and guide it down. It's in front for Duckworth, and a fake on the 50. It's a bold move, but I like it. It's going to mean you survive into OT.
We keep going in overtime here, and again, a very important win, in my opinion, for Shawnee State. You do not want to let GCU find themselves not only extra confidence, but an early lead that they can work with, and it will not get better if you double commit on defense. All of a sudden, Bean Boy some space to work with. A drop down pass to Nando that is intercepted, but already starting off overtime, and Shawnee got to be a little bit concerned.
Slayer's really late to that one. That's a nice deflection potentially from Bean Boy into the 50. Froppy has been so quiet today, but he steps up in the best possible way.
Steps up at the right moment, and so does the entire team. With that goal, all 3 players on GCU picking up at least a goal in game number 2. A full team effort, a full field effort, and another win for Grand Canyon University. I gotta hope that they don't let a goal go in early. It feels like that's been the bane of the existence for Shawnee here. If they can avoid those early goals, they usually get a couple of them after and at least get an overtime. They'd like to avoid an overtime. A little bit more of a definitive win would go a long way here for our team in blue. An early goal, as I mentioned, would also go a long way in their favor instead. That's why they're starting off on offense here, and Slayer's making a challenge on the ceiling. Not gonna be enough to get it to a teammate, and Bean Boy, smart, gonna take this slow. Big thing we've seen from GCU, just patient play no matter where they are on the pitch.
B-Boy, I think, wanted to flick that over, realized he didn't have the height, so that one got a little bit dicey, but I think, honestly, it was such a weird move that no one really expected that one. So how can you expect this one? Flip reset, potentially in the back. Slayer's going to go for the old conventional, the 50 right in front of the net on the follow-through. Nice contact, but you're not getting past 2 defenders.
And the defenders a little bit awkward here, though, and Duckworth will demo one of them for their troubles. Good 50 from Bean Boy, and straight out to Taco Stash, who has some boost to work with, but probably not enough to really work with that play. His teammate in Duckworth out center, who did have boost, demo. not going to be more than enough here. And at this point, it kind of feels like Shawnee are trying to get creative. They're looking at new ways to approach this offense, but it's still not quite enough to get GCU frazzled, out of sorts, out of spot, out of rotation. And that's what they need to do, is get these players out of net and not let them play confidently when they're in the final third.
Being able to play that on the backboard, double tap just missed. How about the follow through? Another deflection from Bean Boy just being in the way. The goaltending from GCU. You don't always want to take saves on your goal line, but at the very least, you want to be able to get them and then put them out of danger. Duckworth's trying to take that lesson, but there was someone lurking in Froppy. Nice soft touch again by Bean Boy. And notice, we've talked about this a lot in the midfield, how many times they will wait for a touch, it comes to them, and they just throw it right on back. It's really tough to counter.
They're doing a great job of just sustaining this pressure, something that a lot of teams wish they could do, but GCU putting on a masterclass in exactly that. Time does get away from them, though. It turns into an aerial play, and maybe a double touch on target from the skies. Duckworth will drop one on their heads.
And unfortunately, there was some boost in the tanks for some of the players on GCU. The problem is Froppy's the only one with nothing. That's why you got to grab those pads. You got to be a little bit more careful. But as that pass came in, we haven't really seen a lot of backboard pressure from Shawnee State. So I think GCU was honestly just pausing for a second, saying, that'll probably be an air dribble. Oh, never mind. I have to get to that immediately, and I simply cannot. Good job from Shawnee. And well, first time in a bit. In fact, I think first time this year they've had the lead in this series, and now it's theirs to protect.
I cannot believe that's the truth at this point. And I'm trying to go back, but no, it really has been. GCU start off early in game one. They start off early in game two. It's been a comeback trail all the time here for Shawnee. It might be a tie trail instead if Duckworth couldn't get the squishy save perfectly in and out while still being chased down by a GCU defender. Or they're probably hoping that would have been enough. If they got in the demo, it would have been an equal game, but it is not going to be enough, and at least not at the moment. Long ball downfield. Shawnee looking to double up their lead, and Duckworth might be able to help them get there. If not for getting bumped off the ball, Slayer will try again, but at this point, it's been more than enough time, and GCU can now counterattack.
Probably just throwing in a bold fake there as he had no more boost, so a bluff called, but 50 still going out into the corner, off ceiling. Duckworth going to throw that heavily off his own ceiling to be able to circumvent that first player in. Nando, full boost and an air dribble. Nice cut past one. Slayer shuts that down early. He's very good at being able to make sure he's not going to fall for those fakes because he trusts in his defender to back him up, and he trusts Duckworth to maybe put in number two, if not, for Nando on the backboard.
Great read from Nando. It's not going to be enough, though. More offense here for Shawnee and low boost totals for everybody on GCU. That's a little bit too awkward, though. Player in net, I'm not sure if they could have gotten to this one, but I would have at least liked to try.
Right there, he threads that needle. I saw the demo go through, and I'm thinking, even if that was a defender, because I couldn't quite see it on the angle, I don't really know how that goes through. But no, instead, Slayer just understands, all right, you are rushing me. You don't know how quickly I'm going to be able to take this one. Roll it into that near side post and go from there. As I say, go from there. Maybe just off the kickoff, get yet another one. Duckworth maybe trying to cap this game early with another goal right off the rip, but no, it looks like GCU has learned their lesson, and for the first time in this series, they're really going to have to come back, and significantly so. This is not just getting one clean offensive chance, it's really getting any offensive chance. It's definitely the most sparse we've seen the Antelopes go forward and not be able to be rewarded with any of their creativity.
Yeah, this has been a very one-sided game thus far. That could have changed things up. This is a bit of an awkward back pass, but unfortunately not going to be enough. Good shot from GCU, but even better defense from Shawnee is going to keep them still with a shutout thus far. A minute to go, though, and still time for Grand Canyon to turn this around. If only they can hold on to the offense. Awkward out in midfield. Taco Stash the one to intercept, and now starts an offense instead for SSU. He's actually going to go demo hunting instead. Tries to fake it out for Duckworth, but the defense back in time. Not enough time on the clock for them to just keep playing on defense. They need to break out. Giving up a goal or third goal would not help. Make the saves when they need to.
Scooped up. Trying to wait for that challenge. Slayer knows exactly where he needs to be. Just taps that one down and hands off to Taco Stash, who will not be able to continue on that dominance, but that's one demo. Slayer has to turn around. He has to make sure he's not taking too much time on this, and he deals it supremely well, getting another follow-up, and eventually it will go over him, but that's exactly why the rotation kicks on in. Shawnee continuing their run, not giving up anything easy, and so long as they can last a couple more seconds, mathematically, it's just not possible. But wait, the goal line, the save and the clear.
Got to feel Fernando on that one. He did a great job taking out the initial defender, but the shot just didn't have enough power, and good patience as well from Shawnee to just stay on the line and transition quickly. 3-0. What a response from 2 game losses in a row. A shutout victory as we close out the third.
And being able to get a win is one thing, but being able to do it dominantly, getting 3 goals, not really giving up too much pressure really until that last challenge. That was the best opportunity that they had up until they had a brief giveaway, but for the most part, everything was handled. You literally have Toxic, he's taking a nap. He's just flipped that. He just flipped that Fennec over and said, "Okay, guys, I'm just gonna need a little bit of time to refocus because there's a lot of meditation that required." You can see him actually talking right now, saying, "Hey, we're doing well. Let's keep it going. Do not let us get complacent just because we got one game." So starting up into game number 4, match point on the table for GCU again, but Shawnee certainly wants to be able to tie this up, turn us into an effective best of 3.
They would love to get an early goal. We talked about the effectiveness of it in games 1 and 2, but instead is Shawnee back on offense to start off, just like in game number 3. No goal thus far, but Slayer, a couple of great touches in a row, will at least lead it on targets, but no further. Nando, some boost to work with, but not a ton, so Taco Stash will make the challenge. It's been a problem we're starting to see for GCU right now. Aggressive challenges out of Shawnee. They completely dive into every play and then put it to the backboard over and over again, where it is out of reach for GCU, but not out of reach for them. That one just barely out of reach for Taco Stash, but Slayer can follow it up with a shot, and even more Shawnee offense.
That's where you need to be wise with your clears. Right there on the passing play, near post, saved away. How about the rebound, though? Froppy, enough boost to be able to get it forward. Maybe one more if he can just take his inertia into it. It will not drop in time. Shawnee realizing they had given enough space. And the same on the follow-through. Immediate challenge into the shot. Back post, not going to be low enough. Duckworth, seems like they're almost having one guy just chill on the backboard just to make sure they don't give up anything easy.
They got to be careful here, though. GCU starting to get back to that midfield presence, but a little bit more pushed forward, having plays that are starting to pop over their head, and that's causing problems to where they have to retreat in a, I'd say, less, what's the word I'm looking for here? Less coordinated effort, I think would be the best way to describe it, because before, you would see them, all 3 of them turn and immediately get ready on defense. They would know when that moment needs to happen. Now we're getting dives like that, where Nando goes into the ball, all of a sudden it goes the other way. They're not prepared for it, as a double demo opens up the net. I think it actually got shot into Slayer, so you know what? Deserved, considering that he did all the heavy lifting on that play.
Parents, hide your children's eyes. This is what cyberbullying looks like in effect. That is Slayer coming around, getting 1, getting 2, and stealing a goal from his teammate. Disrespectful, can't believe people look up to him. Either way, Shawnee, I'm looking up to them because right now they are the ones above GCU in terms of playstyle and in the scoreboard. Again, 2nd straight game in which we're taking the first goal, and this has been a series in which we are not seeing comebacks. Not a lot of drama in these games. It's like we're starting in OT because if you score first, you're the one that's holding on to it. The thing that I think GCU needs to hold on to is that it's not an unsurmountable effect, especially if you get a ceiling shot. Taco Stash nearly to lean back in his chair just to get back to that one.
He gets back just barely, and I don't know if anybody's getting back to this one, though. Again, this has been the problem for GCU. They push so far forward that their net is completely exposed.
And sometimes you take a look upfield and say, I don't know why there's no one there, and you just got to throw it downfield. I'm not a fan of teams that clear it impulsively, but sometimes when you do look up, you say, I want to keep the defense honest. I'm just going to chuck this one deep and see what happens, and that's exactly why you need to have that arrow in your quiver. Froppy is going to immediately answer back with a nice passing attempt, but I think Beanboy and Nando both kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, I'm not able to get up to that one. I'm just going to be able to back off and then focus on this defense. After all, we are only at halftime.
They do have to start focusing on defense more and more, though. How many of these long balls have just gone straight over their head, forced them into an awkward defense, and then they never really recover from it, whether it's in boost totals or rotations or somewhere in between. This team needs to find themselves a little bit more coordination, as we spoke about before. I think they're more than capable of doing it. We saw it through the first 2 games. We just are not seeing it right now, and we have not seen it for at least 5 minutes. The last game, again, a shutout against them, and this one looking to be the same. 2-0. They do have the time to turn this around, but it is Shawnee straight back into offense.
Nice little fake from Taco into the pinch cross, and it will be dealt with by Beanboy, but I will say the one thing that I'm actually starting to evolve into watching for GCU is noticing how they're using their boost, or actually how they're also answering back physicality-wise. That's going to be top corner and just wide. Follow 50 is going to follow its way into the midfield, which then will be led, I would say, into a would-be counter, but a nice deflection of that pass means that the job has been somewhat stalled, but not finished off from the defensive side. B-Boy just trying to wrangle everything, but Shawnee will not let this go.
Taco Stash right now, just a mosquito you cannot swat over and over again. He is making these challenges and just diving into plays, not allowing a 50 to go unburdened. Impressive stuff here from Shawnee, as they really have made the adjustments necessary to get this series back even, or at least if they can hold on to 90 seconds, will be back even for sure. 5-0 though through 2 games. That is 9 minutes without a goal conceded against GCU. I don't know if they're going to be able to change that in the next minute and a half here, as again, another approach downfield from GCU, but just not well coordinated from the front player. All of a sudden, the 2 in the back have to start retreating. One of them's getting chased, and what could have been a huge offense for Grand Canyon has now turned into a potential shot to Duckworth, maybe even a goal. Good 50 in front of net, but Slayer on the rebound, a little bit high. Taco Stash not to finish it off. I thought maybe it'd ricochet in. Duckworth will do the job for it.
The double ping is painful, but then the ultimate pain is inflicted on the defense. Taco Sash not able to get it. He'll take an assist as he actually bumps out Froppy. Nice selfless play from Shawnee, but with a fair amount of physicality. That's the one thing that I feel like they implement more than a lot of other teams in CRL, but they do it in a tasteful way at the same time. They're not just constantly demo chasing like the Reddles. There are somewhat moments where they say, okay, we need to back off, let them kind of play around, maybe get a little bit of a pad, but for the most part, not able to really organize. Then we hit them with a little bit of bump, a little bit of a deflection, and they're just not able to handle it. I think GCU getting a bit overwhelmed. I'm noticing they're not getting their 100 boost, they're not getting their pads. There's too many times where they're dealing with defense where they get one clear, and that's about it. Case in point, Froppy nearly just giving that one straight away.
I like the idea from Bean Boy there to try and cut it, but unfortunately, he's cutting it to nobody. And we see this oftentimes, especially under collegiate play, where players are just desperate to try and alleviate pressure. So what do? Bang the ball to no man's land. And theoretically, it's going to help them because it'll buy time for their teammates to get boosted up, to find a bit more of a rotation, to just be a little bit more, oh my goodness, cohesive as a team. Other times, all it does is just stall the inevitable. And I think that's what's happening here. 3-0, the second 3-0 shutout in a row for Shawnee. GCU not even going to get a chance at the end of this one. Duckworth might, though. Pre-jumping off the ceiling. I think he's got his reset. ECU said we've had enough stunting for now. They do not have enough for now to keep the series in their favor. 2-2 here, a tie after 6 unanswered goals through 2 games. We're heading into the 5th. They have to turn this around, otherwise it'd be 3 straight for Shawnee, and we get back to the expectations we came into this series with. Grand Canyon, we believe in you. Do you believe in yourselves? Game 5 underway. They need to, again, start this one off strong.
And boy, that is not 51, especially with Duckworth fully boosted up. That's going to be kind of a double commit a little bit from the Antelope, so I'm not already looking too good on their comm side, as that will be an open pass potentially there. And it will cut out at least the first one. Duckworth, though, a lot of time to work with. Delayed flip into the back post, but well met by Nando. Now Bean Boy to chase.
50, I'm not sure where that ricocheted out. Duckworth is aware of it, though, and gets a pass out to Taco Stash, who doesn't have a lot of boost, but has at least the fake out on the aerial to lead into a 50, and the pass more than I could ever do with 0 boost, but that's why these guys are the most elite of the elite, and it's why the offense continues not into a goal. Thought that one might sneak past, but 2 players on the line for Grand Canyon will be enough. Maybe an offense of their own. Froppy off the ceiling, pass out, and in, perfectly coordinated by Grand Canyon.
And that is a great communicated goal, mainly because Froppy has nothing in the tank, but he does have a flip, so he waits for that defender, and the last possible second, he'll dish that in the middle. We've seen it in game 1. It was their very first goal. It was the very first goal of this series, and it all comes down to those carefully paced passes. You can't just constantly throw it in, but if you mix it in every once in a while, it will throw a defense, even one as good as Shawnee, through the blender. That's 1 goal, and as, again, we have mentioned over and over, first goal to be scored in this series so far has been able to take the game in the 5 minutes that do remain. However, there's always a chance that we do see a pattern break, particularly with GCU kind of playing around with it in the backfield, getting the flick, but it's not going far.
I like the physicality we are seeing out of Grand Canyon. We've talked more about it in effectiveness for Shawnee, as they've done a lot more with their demos, but the demo leader for the series right now is Bean Boy. He had 8 in the last one, but a lot of those were kind of desperation just to try and get Shawnee off of their half and just keep them away from the goal. Apparently now he doesn't need a demo. He can just shoot on target. He's 2 for 2 as another goal goes through for GCU.
Yeah, we're playing in Arlington, but this is Vegas. It's a slot machine. That's what Bean Boy is embodying right now. He is the finisher. It's not really the most stylish goals, but he notices there's a gap, and he's able to get that one through. I love that effectiveness coming through from Bean Boy, because that's really how all top-level offense has to be. You might not get a lot of chances, so you have to create your own. That bump was a good idea, but there's going to be 2 players back. Now there's nobody immediately on that one. Duckworth from the ceiling into Slayer. The patient midfield is back. Nando, that is a lot of boost to work with. Going for the Arsenal reset and not able to quite get it. But you can see Shawnee, they're scrambling right now for these clears.
You can just see it through the double commits in random places. Low boost totals for almost every player on the team. Duckworth, the only one with anything to work with, and he's trying to facilitate a pass upfield. It'll be quickly cut out, and Bean Boy starts headhunting. Immediately goes after Slayer to put him in an awkward position. Not awkward enough for a shot on target, but at least more offense being found for Grand Canyon. We are halfway through this game, and as much as we have talked about the domination of Shawnee through the last, I'd say, 10 minutes or so. The latter two we have just seen has been absurd from Grand Canyon, where they're picking apart the defense, finding ways to sustain this offense for extended periods of time, or just brute forcing their way into goals. This has been exactly what we've hoped for out of Grand Canyon, and it might just lead them to series point. Great midfield challenge is going to launch them to another attack here as we pass halftime.
And I also like the maturity of Grand Canyon. A lot of teams, when they're definitely on the back pedal, as we mentioned, 6 goals to 0 on the differential coming into the final 2 games of this, or the previous 2 games of this series. GCU is not shying away. They have their 2-goal lead, and they're saying, let's just keep on going. Problem is, they can answer it right back, especially with these 50s, but they're answering them well. That's the second time it has gone right down to the goal line and gets sent away.
How on earth did Nando dodge that bump? I actually don't even know if he did. He just somehow recovered from it and makes the save again. Bean Boy gonna get lucky on that one as the shot is off target, but this goes to show the awkwardness we've talked about with SSU. Shawnee keep making these attacks, and they're not bad attacks at all, but this is the problem over and over again. GCU find a way to slither away. The snake he just can't catch, and unfortunately, Shawnee can't catch a break. 90 seconds to go. It's been a shot after shot. Maybe this one finds the back. Pass out center, but again, Nando will make the save.
And not only that, he's got a second, he's got a third touch, he's got a reset as well. Slayer will get it off of his line, as Froppy will be able to get that first deflection. How about a second one? It will be extended, no boost. SSU does not know it, they're just gonna chase for the demo, wait for the backup. GCU, they're continuing to roll. 60 seconds they gotta last, and it's gotta come through challenges like that. Is anyone back? It's off of the bar and in. A lifeline for Shawnee.
It always seems like Taco Stash is at the forefront of these lifelines over and over again, just picking the pocket of GCU and challenges that they're expecting to make, so they pull the defense out, and as soon as they do that, he shoots one straight on target. A little bit less traditional as it does bounce off the ceiling, but a goal is a goal, and a lifeline is a lifeline with a minute to go. Shawnee do not want to give up the momentum they have built through the last 2 games. Grand Canyon would like to stifle it no matter what.
I'm not saying don't trust your teammates, but there are moments where GCU is moving forward and they're so 100% locked in that that is going to be a win that they move on forward. That's exactly what happened in the last one. Taco Stash can't beat that ball going forward, so he's going to lob it into the ceiling as hard as possible. It hits off the ceiling, it goes on target. It's a great way to generate pressure when you don't have an angle. The issue is that the only reason that goes in is that GCU all moved up. You can't get confident. You can be a little bit arrogant at times, the pre-jump. You got to make sure it's informed. Is someone back for you? And if not, it can get real dicey. Kind of like this one. That's a beefy 50 into the midfield with almost nobody on it. Bean Boy, I think he was rushing that. Not sure how much time he had until he hit it.
Nando tried for a shot on target. It doesn't go on target, which now gives a chance for Shawnee to respond. 15 seconds to go. Pop up from Taco Stash. Slayer's prepared for it and almost forces the own goal. GCU somehow escaped, but the job's not done. Another shot on target, another save from Nando. And as long as this hits the ground, it will be the game for Grand Canyon. That's a little bit easier said than done. Froppy getting chased. Slayer can at least keep this one up, and so can Duckworth. But where is the shot? Taco, that's not going to be enough, my friend. To the ground it goes, and GCU go to match points. If that continues, we will get a Game 7 here on stream for our first Rocket League match of the tournament. Johnny, all eyes on you. It's up to you guys to get us there.
And we've been talking about this really all weekend. We were saying, man, this is like the most competitive collegiate Rocket League event I can remember outside of like the Seattle Nationals that we have seen. Like there's a lot of top teams here, and everyone else is actually at a good fighting weight to be able to contend with everybody. Shawnee is one of those teams trying to prove they're in the upper echelon, and GCU, they came in with little expectation, but they're living up to them right now on post, the near post even, with a deflection. Not even that, but Bean Boy has a chance to go on forward. He has a great angle despite no boost. That 50's even better. Nando, back post, bang!
That required everybody on GCU to be at their utmost, and this is so clever from Bean Boy. Taco Stash knows he's got to rip a shot out center, so what does he do? Fake him out, get more space, and that's enough of a signal for Nando to dive straight on in, and if you can just put the shot on target, good luck to any defender trying to save that one. A rocket that will rocket them up to 1-0 in this game and potentially close it out. We've said this has been back and forth, but so far, we are 5 for 5. The first team to score is the one that wins it.
Exactly what GCU is trying to hold in mind. But you know, Shawnee says, okay, we just need one singular goal. We've had some 0-second heroics. We weren't able to pull it off in the last game, but at the very least, we do know we can show up in the clutch and we can go for those bumps. How about it? It's going to be Slayer, but it's Duckworth causing the pain.
It's always just some sort of demo play, some sort of physicality that's going to open up the space, and you can't blame them. Again, the defense for GCU has been so impressive that you literally have to you get them out of net, whether through sheer force, whether through demos, whether through maybe a mixed up rotation. It doesn't matter how it goes in, it just matters that it does. And Shawnee doing a good job at not only getting the goal back, but doing so quickly, not letting GCU build with any extra momentum.
I love that pass off the sidewall. It should be wide open, but only for Froppy. Everyone else backing off, getting your resources and trying again. Ground double underneath one, near post. No bump attempt able to be connected. That's exactly why everyone retreats yet again. No need to bite off more than you can chew. It's 1-1, so being able to just slowly focus on in is really what everyone's careful of. They don't want to mess up, but again, you might want that shot back. I think GCU was maybe in between a pass and a shot, and they ended up with neither.
Slayer trying to see if he can get a pass downfield. Froppy in the way. Like to see that back from GCU, that midfield presence we talked about that was so prevalent through the first couple of games. Maybe not as talked about here through the latter half of this series, but it's still going to be required if Grand Canyon want to take the win. Good way to get around one, can't get around another. Bean Boy doing what he can on low boost, but now it's up to his teammates to stop the shots. Froppy more than capable and uses his reset to now get to the backboard so he can be prepared for the follow-up. Will there even be one? No. Duckworth can't receive the pass to turn into a shot, can only take it to the ceiling. But back in time is Grand Canyon. Again, just not frazzled by any of the attempts that we're seeing out of Shawnee.
Biggest thing is making sure that communication's on. In fact, we do have actually Froppy getting his 100 boost stolen away by the teammate rotating back on near side. I don't really like that handoff, but maybe they're not going to get punished for it so long as this backboard stays secure. Nando, not a lot in the boost tank. He's going to keep that one close. It's a risk, but especially if no one's going to follow that one. That's a goal line save into the outlet from Nando, and maybe he can make up for it right here from the ceiling. No reset. It's going to go down all the way to Slayer, and maybe I thought there was going to be miscommunication. We see both Shawnee players pinching in on it and then fading away. It really is going to come down to whoever is just able to keep the comms clear, no double commits, and make sure nothing too errant gets on through.
Somebody's got to follow up on these passes to the ceiling as well. Both teams just sending long balls straight into the air and hoping one of their players is going to be there in time. Defense, offense, it is happening all across the pitch, but somebody's got to take advantage of them. Slayer, good idea, gets back in time, knows that the goal is a little bit exposed, so he's going to get prepared in case a shot comes out of nowhere. Speaking of which, shot out of nowhere from Nando. Had it been on target, probably would have been enough, but instead, a transition downfield and Shawnee a chance to capitalize. Off the ceiling, is anybody there? No, Nando to take it away.
Really passive play coming in from Shawnee. They're dedicating one player all the way back just because they know if they play some possession, they trust the front two to make that pressure. Kind of like this. How about the lead block coming in? This time it's Duckworth that's going to be the recipient of the easy goal. Everybody splayed out to the side getting boost. Bean Boy's definitely going to want it back specifically because if you leave your goalie alone, they're going to get shoved into a locker.
And unfortunately, we might break the trend here. Shawnee 100 seconds away from being the first team to find a comeback victory here in this best of 7. The job's not done. Off the backboard, Slayer has to make the save and he will, but Grand Canyon immediately off a kickoff finds some offense and apparently do nothing with it. It's going to go right back into the hands of Shawnee as they go back into an offense of their own.
Taco able to dispossess that first clear. Thing is, they're going to play for 50 and play for it well. No more boost, and yet it's still going to do the job well enough from an odd angle. Back post, not even going to ring that bell on the ding. So instead it's Taco trying to put this one away in style. No musty attempt from the ceiling, but at the very least, they can't get too cocky. It's still a one-goal game. How about this? A wide open net. Bean Boy not around it. That's why he has a support third man. Where are you, Nando? Keeping the small ball alive. All of GCU crammed in the corner, but no one has the approach.
I think, unfortunately, they were just a bit over-eager there, recognizing that they beat the third man, so the whole team dives upfield, and I think had Bean Boy just taken a couple of seconds more, he could have put at least a shot on target, but instead goes off the sidewall, and Nando does what he can to contain it, and that's really all that they get. 40 seconds to go. Another goal here would be the dagger, and indeed it is. Taco Stash to make it 3-1 with under a minute to go.
I love how this team develops. Yes, they are down in the series. Yes, they're trying to bring it to Game 7, but you can tell the integrity of that play. If there's someone upfield, I'm going to try my best to get it right onto your hood. And even if it isn't, they have the quality to be able to bang those in top shelf every time. Shawnee, dangerous when given opportunities. It's really just been GCU trying to make sure they play aggressive and not get too physically abused, as a lot of these plays are starting to come through. When Shawnee gets on a roll, it really is just an avalanche of pressure.
It's just over and over again. They find ways to not only use this backboard that we said has been exposed from GCU, but on top of that, just well-received passes. It's just one after another. This ping pong between the teams is so impressive to watch, and it's what makes it so difficult for GCU to continue the adaptations that we've been so complimentary of throughout the series. You can try and play well to start the series, but if the team starts making other passing lanes available, you need to be able to adapt, and GCU just has not done that thus far. That's why this scoreline went from very close to not at all. 4-1 could be the final score here unless they get a goal for the road, but even then, it won't change the results. We're heading to Game 7 here for our first Rocket League match on stream of CECC 25. Taco, I don't think we could have written this any better.
They are the favorites in this game. It has not looked like it throughout it. Game 7, first match on stream for Rocket League, and has lived up to the expectations.
Let's see if Shawnee, even without the glitches, can find the first goal of the game. They cannot. Good defense being shown by Grand Canyon, but they're going to need some more of it. No boost for everybody. Bean Boy has to do a lot here on the backboard, and he will, but his teammates are getting bumped out of net. And he's missing the save off the backboard. They are lucky that shot is off target. Otherwise, we are starting exactly the same way here in game number 7.
Nice cut from Bean Boy. He's actually going to get that 50 as well. Nobody upfield, but that's why Slayer is being calm to say, hey, take this catch, take it down, and then be able to try to do the exact same thing. Gets past the first player, maybe setting up a delayed flick, but that 50 instead will just carry into the midfield. Slayer's not able to get this, but watch that boost steal. This is where the resource battle begins, and where the defense does as well. Nice goal line save. We're still sitting at 0-0.
The physicality we're already seeing here from Shawnee is going to cause some problems, but so will the physicality on the other end. A demo backfield from Bean Boy is still not going to be enough, but it does send Shawnee into a bit of a panic as they hightail it into their own half. So they're going to go right back into offense here, but a couple good 50s could change that. Froppy, good bump against Duckworth, which should now open some space for Bean Boy to work with. He will also get bumped off the ball, but he will stay next to it and get a bump against Slayer as well. My goodness, I was not expecting a demolition derby coming into game 7, but we're starting to get one.
There was two players double committing on that one from Shawnee, and they nearly deflected it into a counterattack. That one on the near side. GCU, honestly, they've had a couple close calls and they've gotten away with it, but how much longer can that last? Nice little flick to the back post. Slayer, he's late, but he still can get it on target. Nice loft. The finesse placement beats the first goalie, not the second on the back post.
I like the idea from Slayer on that one, though. If he rips a shot on target, if it has enough power, it's just going to go straight back into their half, and all of a sudden they have to contend against the counterattack. They may still have to, though, as a long ball downfield does find its way in front of net. Slayer in a 1v1 can't get around Froppy as he does pick up boost just in time to make the save. And they make a save here, though. To the backboard they go. Nando barely beating out Taco Stash, but still more work to be done on defense here as over and over again, Shawnee launch into an attack and seem to live there.
Love that pass. Taco Stash going to pay that off on the play into Slayer. I'm waiting for it. You can see the delayed flicks coming in. Slayer got denied on the goal line, but this time on the passing play, there's multiple options for poor Froppy. There's only so much you can do. He got the first save, and this one was more or less guaranteed. And it comes from SSU using their space effectively, understanding where GCU is coming from, and then using those angles against them. That's the first goal. How many more we'll see? Who really knows in this game 7? Nice little counterattack. Nando, he is upfield, but he just couldn't quite catch up to it. That
needed to be at least a shot on target to give some momentum, give some hope to a GCU that just have not had a lot of goals in the last handful of games. Again, 3-0, 3-0. They do get a game back, but then it is back to 4-1. Overwhelmingly, when Shawnee do take the win, they take so in dominant fashion, and I would not be surprised if they can add on a couple more throughout the rest of this game. They've been on offense for so long, it feels like it's inevitable they will find another goal, but at least not quite yet. 50 out of midfield may give some space now for GCU to work with, but they needed a follow-up player on that side wall.
I like Froppy handing that one off. It's not the best touch to be able to keep the offense going, but it makes Shawnee have to reposition, and because of that, they can get their boost and then rejoin the attack. Really late challenge, though. That means it's a 1v1. Taco Stash, not a lot of boost, does not need it. Flip reset, deflection, off the backboard, trying to get there quickly is Bean Boy, but it's right into Duckworth. That rapid rotation on the half rotation means that this pressure is ramping up, but GCU needs to make sure they don't get too desperate. Otherwise, things that can get sloppy. SSU not able to get that deflection through on their side, so therefore finally will escape, but the time keeps ticking and the nerves keep rising.
Bean Boy trying for a 50 there, cannot find it. Slayer somehow reads that play and rips a shot on target. Nando back in time, and honestly for me, it's all eyes on Nando. He's played really well in this game. Can he do enough to find a goal for his team? Not quite. Froppy pushed up a bit too far. I think he was expecting the 50 to just kind of like dribble out. Instead, it goes to the corner. More offense required. The demo opens the net, but it's still not enough as the team save will come out.
And that's timing, it's angles, it's all those things that come together. Sometimes it really does turn into your own worst enemy. GCU, the best chance of the game, but they have time to create another, especially with this space. Not necessarily if Slayer has anything to say about it. He's going to get a deflection. He'll get a bump on another one, and now Froppy's going to have to use his whole tank to get to this one. He's got nothing else beyond that one. Another long lob for Bean Boy to deal with, trying to find someone on the sidewall, but they're all splayed out. The ball chasing starts kicking in. Here comes another counterattack. Double bar. It's wide again. again. Where is the finish? There it is. Captain Slayer answers the call.
He's doing exactly what his name says, slaying the dragon at the perfect moment here. That one's off the post, but he's saying, I don't care where this goes. It could go all the way to Niagara Falls and making sure it finds the back of the net afterwards. And you might just find yourselves a win here in this series. It would be huge for Shawnee's chances of making it into our playoff bracket, and they're 30 seconds away from it. All they got to do is score another. To make it 3-0, I think Shawnee might have done enough to move on in a Game 7 victory.
One player going for it, and then the third player, they're looking at that clock, and that is the most difficult aspect of forming a comeback in Rocket League when you have limited time. You have to play aggressive. You have to go forward, and sometimes it feels like you have no other choice than to just drive in a straight line and try your best to get an angle, but that's exactly what Shawnee was waiting for. They had it in what seemingly was the bag, and now it's very much secured with a bow. DC might be able to get one more, but I just don't know if there's enough time here. An excellent series from them, but this is what we were expecting from this weekend. All the teams are incredibly close to each other, but one of them has to win, and it's usually the team that's been doing better on average throughout the semester. Shawnee, they are here to prove that they are among the elite. They took some stumbles, but that's still a dub for our first stream series for Rocket League.